What is going on, guys? Your boy here, back with another video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Okay, so I want to talk about kind of how I would build wealth if I was starting from zero. And some of the things I've learned living paycheck to paycheck. Currently I'm working at Walmart. I make $17.50 an hour, and I'm working full time, so 40 hours a week. I've been paycheck to, I'm not really paycheck to pay. Obviously, I'm not paycheck to paycheck, but because I'm not going to really try to sell any of my assets, currently I am. So I can kind of like take notes and like try to remember why I was so broke back in the day. And I think a lot of the reason I was broke back in the day, well, so you're not already actually, you are making a lot more than you think you are. But I find when you're poor, money just kind of disappears a lot quickly. And it's like, it's harder to recognize when you're plopped into it, right? And I think here are some of the reasons why I think people can't build wealth. One, too much excessive fast food. Now, because fast food's gotten more expensive, I think people have slowed down. They're slowly starting to buy groceries, which also might cause grocery prices to go up. So that may be a cause for concern, but because fast food recently has gotten so expensive, people have kind of slid back. And that's actually kind of a good thing. But when you're poor, if you have $400 and you spend $20 at McDonald's, that's a lot more costly than, say, if somebody, who has money, is $20 not that crazy to them, but in relation to how much money you have, it's very expensive. And I also find that when I was paycheck to paycheck, I would do a lot of eating out and not really being cost effective with my food. I would buy a lot of stuff because you just kind of assume that's the price, or like not assume, but you assume every meal is around like $5 or something, right? So you might buy some frozen meals, or you might buy a pizza or something. And I just think, at least in the food department, we don't know how to get the biggest bang for our buck. So we're getting manipulated, and we're getting these high prices. We might buy a family size bag of Doritos for $5-6 and not really think anything of it. But also you have to remember, in relation to your money, you're spending a lot for just nothing. That doesn't even help you, right? So that's one thing. Just the lack of money in general also makes it so it's pretty difficult, because you gotta think, if you move into a place, you put first month down, security deposit, or you pay first month rent, security deposit, right? So it's like, let's say 800 for rent, right? So it's 1,600 you gotta come out of your pocket, right? Now you're broke. Now you have to make money while you're in this system, and you've already kind of started off on a bad footing. Now you find yourself, after a while, maybe making a couple bucks, and then you start doing these subscription services, and then you find that you're like just barely over water. And you just kind of do this for a while, maybe a lot of weeks. You go back money, and then you're not in debt, but you're not really making too much money because you're spending it, right? And then over a while, one of these loan sharks come over. It just so happens they have a Capital One on their shirt, and they're like, "Hey, man, you want $3,000?" And then you're like, "Hell yeah, bro, dude, I'm struggling, man." And then you take this, and they didn't tell you the APR is like close to 30%. And you start kind of using it because it's helpful at first. You need the money, and you kind of start building a balance more. So you're like, okay, I'm saving money. Now I got more money in my bank account, but now you have a balance. And then what you don't realize, it's a lot harder to pay back debt than it is to actually use debt. So you start getting on this hamster wheel, and then let's say a few months later, you look up and you're like, damn, I owe rent, but I also have $700 in credit card debt now. Like, What should I do to get out of credit card debt? Maybe I should start investing. And this is where you go wrong. I myself kind of slightly, I'm not, I like to use myself as an example, but it kind of sometimes, it doesn't work fully, but just hear me out. So I was actually one of these people because I started, luckily for me, I started investing before I got super, I didn't even get super, I'm not really, let me back up. I was investing before I picked up a credit card and started using it. But over time, even I got finessed. I thought maybe I downplayed a lot of the credit card debt because you think you can manage it. And when you're not taught by anybody, you just kind of figure out some stuff on your own. And you just have to figure it out from that point. And it's a lot more difficult because now you have rent, you have bills, you probably go to fast food like once or twice a week and you don't even realize. Then you're losing a lot of money just because you're not saving on meats and you're constantly doing the fast food. And then you're getting hit with all these late payments because now you have all these bills that magically pop up. And then what are you going to do? Either you miss the payment and you get hit with a late bill, or you sell off, let's say, some of your stocks or something. And basically you're supposed to continue this process indefinitely. Now, I myself am actually not really in debt. I do have a little bit of credit card debt, but the only reason I'm not paying it off is because I don't want to sell my Bitcoin. And truthfully, I do actually because I just want it off my back, but I can't sell. I can't sell. So basically, and actually I just did the math, so it should take me, I don't know, maybe a couple months to pay the rest of this off, maybe a few. I may end up actually just selling some crypto if it would finally take off, just so I can get out of debt. Just because I'm so tired of the credit cards trying to work against me, it's just so exhausting. And it's just like, I just want to pay it off. But then it's like, there's also another Marcus back here like, dude, why would you sell your Bitcoin to pay off some debt? I mean, it's not a bad idea, but it's like, you might as well wait a year from this time and your Bitcoin be worth way more. So it's like I'm in this weird position where I want to sell out, but I can't. And I mean, even if I sell out, my net worth is still going to go up. I don't know, man. Either way, it makes things way more complicated. Most of my net worth is mobile, and this is what you want. You want all of your net worth to just be moving, right? You don't want like anything holding you down. Personally, I'm not a fan of, I will eventually buy a house, but I feel like I'd pay it in cash. You have a car payment, debt, all these things are working against you and they're slowly building. So you want the opposite. You just want your money to be mobile. And then you keep some money in my bank account, you keep everything cool, but you're building. This is what I would do. And if I could restart over, I would not get into credit card debt. In fact, for that person I just described, I would stay probably with my parents and get probably like, it's gonna take a while, maybe 4 months of rent. So that'd be 3,200. You move in, you have 1,600. Now you can start getting checks, and if you're frugal, you'll never actually go broke because you'll always have enough to pay your rent. And even on days where maybe something happens, you'll have enough to weather it, and you won't have to go backwards, or you won't have to be charged fees and different stuff here. You won't even have to touch a credit card. And I'm actually not really completely against credit cards. It's just I'm not advanced to take the full benefits from it. Now, when I pay this off, I'm not gonna lie, I might use my credit cards and just pay them off at the end of the month for the points. But people act like they're better than this manipulation. But I promise you, they get to you somehow. And this is coming from a person who is doing well. I feel like people always say like, "Oh man, you should have did this," or "How could that happen?" Or you think about it and it's like, okay, well, what is your net worth? If I'm the one who got manipulated, right? And I'm so stupid, like, well, what's your net worth? Well, then if you didn't get manipulated, obviously you have 100,000 net worth, right? Because you'd be doing it correct. I just think everybody has to work together, and pointing a finger does nothing, but really trying to figure out what is the next step to financial freedom. And I think it starts from staying away from debt, any type of debt, honestly. They will try to finesse you and make it sound good, but unless you're playing really high level stuff, it's going to be really hard for you to like really profit off of this. Now, I feel like where I am now with the knowledge I have, I could actually do some things correctly because I could call up some people and do some things where, and I'll probably do that. But back then I didn't have this knowledge and nobody talks about any of this. So you would never know how to build wealth. And the simple truth is save up 4 months of rent plus, I guess, maybe depending on how you feel, and then get your own place. And then do not rely on credit cards. And then, you know what I like too? Once you don't have any debt, you could buy anything. You could buy stocks. You could buy a nice watch. And even if the watch appreciates 3%, you're still making money. You know, it's like a different way of life. That's why I almost want to sell my Bitcoin just a little bit. But it's like, nah, because it'll be worth more. But that's why you don't even want to get in these scenarios. Just build your wealth off rip the correct way. And then you won't be having this headache where, oh, should I sell? Should I not sell? You know what I thought? And I thought about it too. I was like, if I had no credit card debt, which, to be transparent, it's a few thousand, right? So out of my net worth, that's 10% basically, of credit card debt. But if I didn't have that, I could buy a nice watch and it would appreciate if it was correct in the right way. And or if I bought like a little gold bar, it wouldn't appreciate like Bitcoin, but it would still appreciate. So it still kind of makes sense. You can do more with your money because it's like, oh, it's like, yeah, you'll make 2% a year on this. Cool, man. It looks sweet, man. I'll buy it. It's like, and you don't have to think like, oh, well, that's 2%, but my credit card or my car payment is 5%, and it's a bunch of slowing you down. But that's what I would do. No one's perfect, and um, if anybody's crapping on you, ask them what their net worth is. Deuce.